Hello dear students, I hope that all of you healthy and safe. As you know that we are facing a pandemic, that is COVID-19, and still this is having a big problem in whole country. So we have to follow again and again what is SMS rule. Okay, that means you have to maintain the social distancing. You have to wear the mask when go to crowd place. Okay, and you have to sanitize or use soap for washing your hand when you touching your face. Are getting this point or not? So just you have to follow the SMS rule. So now the students, in today lecture, that is part 4 of unit 2 solution, I told you about the vapor pressure and the Raoult's law which are related to the vapor pressure. So before knowing the Raoult's law, first of all we have to know that vapor pressure. So first question arises, it can be tell about the vapor pressure in open containers. So no, because if you heated this containers, so what happens? The drop of waters will escape from this containers. So no pressure exerted here. But if we close the containers, in that condition what happens? Now the vapor of water are collected in the space provided in the liquid containers. Okay. Now what happens? This is the type of condensation. Okay. That means the water drop condense and here the water drop evaporate. So at a time what happens? After some time, that is known as equilibrium. What happens? The rate of condensation is equal to rate of evaporation. Are getting this point or not? That means at equilibrium point, what happens? The rate of condensation, that means the water vapor convert into water drop, and the rate of evaporation, that means the water in the form of liquid convert into the vapor. If they are equal, that this condition is known as equilibrium. Are getting this point or not? And at this condition, the vapor pressure can be defined as the pressure exerted by the vapor in equilibrium with liquid. That means vapor liquid equilibrium. So listen again, if the pressure exerted by vapor on the liquid surface at equilibrium is known as vapor pressure. So are you getting this point or not? Are getting this point or not? So this is about the vapor pressure. Okay. Now factor affecting the vapor pressure. This is the very important. By which factor you can know that the vapor pressure are affected. So first of all, just you have to know that the temperature. That is the biggest role. Okay. So temperature. So what the role of temperature basically? As we increase the temperature, in that condition what happens? The rate of evaporation increases. Okay. That means more number of water in the form of liquid convert into vapor. Okay. So that's why we can say that the more the temperature, more will be the vapor pressure. That is the vapor pressure directly proportional to temperature. Okay. Second point, just you can also draw a graph of the vapor pressure and temperature. So the graph of vapor pressure and temperature are like this: vapor pressure and temperature. You can draw a graph like this. Okay. So this graph indicates that the more the temperature, more will be the vapor pressure. Are you getting this point or not? Now let us focus on the second factor. This is also very important. In nature of liquid, the second factor is nature of liquid. So here, how can you relate this? So look at it. The vapor pressure is inversely proportional to intermolecular force, or you can say cohesive force. Are getting this point or not? That means more the force of interaction, more will be the, less will be the vapor pressure. Are getting this point or not? So now let us focus. Some examples are given here. Just like a one example, you can take in the water are given to you, ethyl alcohol are given to you, okay, acetone are given to you, that is CH3, CO and CH3, and one given diethyl ether, C2H5O, C2H5. This is known as diethyl ether. Okay, if nothing given the formula, so in case of alcohol you find, that means you can write the alcohol means ethyl alcohol, and in case of ether you can write diethyl ether. Okay, so now look about the force. Water has H bonding. Any doubt? Yes, I told you also. The condition for H bonding is H bonding formed between the more electronegative elements, that is fluorine, oxygen, nitrogen, which are attached to the hydrogen. This have H bonding. This also have H bonding, but less than water. Reason, here C2H5 are given, that is the bulky group, which reduce the H bonding property. Now look about this. So this have C double bond O, so that's why they have dipole-dipole interaction, and this also have dipole-dipole interaction, because this dipole-dipole interaction. Are getting this point or not? So which have more force? H bonding is strongest than dipole-dipole interaction. So that's why water has less vapor pressure. So if one question is asking that, you write the order of vapor pressure. In that condition, what happens? Ethyl ether, that diethyl ether, have more vapor pressure than what? Acetone. Acetone have more vapor pressure than ethyl alcohol, and ethyl alcohol have more vapor pressure than water. So this is the order of vapor pressure according to force of interaction. You are getting this point or not? So by this way you can say that what with the vapor pressure of diethyl ether is more, because the interaction is minimum in this case. Now let us focus on the graph. You can also draw the graph. So by graph this question may be written which have more vapor pressure. So look the condition. One graph we can draw like this. Here we can write the vapor pressure, and here we can write temperature. Now four graphs are drawn like this. Look at the conditions. This graph is for water, this graph is for ethyl alcohol, this graph for acetone, and this graph is for C2H5O, C2H5. Are getting this point or not? So look the condition. More the temperature, minimum the vapor pressure. Just you can see here, minimum vapor pressure. Now more vapor pressure. Now more vapor pressure. Now more vapor pressure. So by this we can say that the water have more intermolecular force of attraction. Okay. Now the next point, you can note down that what about the vapor pressure and density. So according to Graham's law, so we can also talk about the density. Third point, density of solution. So density of solution, this is also depend upon the density of solution. Just you can say that what? The vapor pressure according to Graham's law. According to Graham's law, what happened here? The rate of evaporation, the rate of evaporation is inversely proportional to square root of density. square root of density. That means one question arises, what about the vapor pressure of solvent and solution? So look at here, the pure water has only the vapor of water, but in case of water plus sugar, now this form what? This form solution. Now what happens? This have more density or not? This have more density, na? So more the density, less will be the rate of evaporation. So here you can also talk about the density according to Graham's law. Okay. Now some more points we noted down that the vapor pressure does not depend upon the liquid amount and the surface area. Also not depend upon the containers. Okay. This is the basically the constant characteristic property of liquid. Are getting this point or not? So these are all about the vapor pressure. Now let us focus on the vapor pressure of solution of solid in liquid. So vapor pressure of solid in liquid solution. Are getting this point or not? The vapor pressure of liquid and solid solution. So now let us see here what happens basically. It just we are taking of containers which contains only water molecules. Okay, here the only water molecule. The containers is closed. Now one more containers we have taken. This contains water plus sugar plus salt milk. Okay, so look the condition here. The vapor pressure of water is more, that is vapor, you can say also vapor is more for water. Here also water are come in the form of vapor because the sugar is non-volatile. What is meaning of volatile? Anyone? So the meaning of volatile is that means they have what? Volatile means they have tendency to convert into vapor. Now this sugar is never have tendency to convert into vapor. So that's why no sugar vapors are seen here. So now look the condition. Here more the number of vapor of water, but here less number of water. So that means what happens here? If the vapor pressure decreases in case of solution. This can also be, you can show that like this about the surface area. In this case, the surface area of water is more. But in case what happened here? In this case, in between them, the solute particles came. So now the surface area decreases. So that's why you can say that the more the surface area, more will be the vapor of water in comparison to this. So this is happens when you can add a non-volatile solute to the solvent. Or getting this point or not? One more thing is asking, if this reducing vapor pressure basically depend upon what amount of solute particles, not their nature. That means if you added 1 mole of urea or you can add 1 mole of sugar, in that condition what happens? If both have same amount, so that's why the reduction of vapor pressure take place at same. Are getting this point or not? So now let us focus one question maybe right like this. If 1 mole of NaCl is added to the water, okay, so they increase the boiling point of water. Okay, if 1 mole of methyl alcohol is added to water, same amount of water, that is 1 liter of water, the boiling point of water decreases. What is the reason behind it? So look at here. What about the NaCl? Volatile or non-volatile? So this is non-volatile. Now what happens here basically? The non-volatile covers some space of solvent. So that's why now less water drop will liberate on that surface, from that surface. So that's why they increase the boiling point of water. But if we add methyl alcohol, okay, in that condition this is volatile. This is volatile, that means they also have tendency to form the vapor. So now what happens? The total vapor pressure, that means the vapor pressure of alcohol, that is methyl alcohol and water increases, and hence what happens? The boiling point of water decreases. So this type of question may be arising from the vapor pressure. Now let us focus on the vapor pressure of liquid solution. That means Raoult's law. Okay. So let us focus on the vapor pressure of liquid solution. Here both liquid are volatile. Here both liquid are volatile. Are you getting this point or not? So this is known as Raoult's law. Okay. So now something I want to tell you about the Raoult's law. That is Raoult's. Okay. So the name of Raoult is basically Francois Marie Raoult. In 1886, he gave a relationship between the partial pressure and mole fraction. Okay. So basically the Raoult's work, that means research on the basically behavior of solution, and especially they have focused on the physical property of solution. So according to Raoult, what happened here? The partial pressure of volatile liquid is directly proportional to, that means if you want to define the Raoult's law, we have write that now. According to Raoult's law, the partial vapor pressure of each component of solution is directly proportional to what? The partial pressure of that solution. So now let us focus on, that is the mole fraction of that solution. Are getting this point or not? That means the partial pressure of each component of volatile liquid in solution is directly proportional to mole fraction of its component. So like this we can write like this na, P directly proportional to mole fraction. In case of binary solution, here two components are there, so we can write P1 and P2. Are you getting this point? So look at here, we can write like this, P1 directly proportional to x1 and P2 directly proportional to x2. If we remove this proportionality sign, so we can write like this, K x1. Now if x1 equal to 1, in that condition P equal to K, and that is known as, this is equal to now P naught. Okay. So now you can write this formula like this, if P1 is equal to P naught 1 x1, and for 2 we can write P2 equal to P naught 2 x2. Here what happens? This is the partial pressure of solvent and this is the partial pressure of solute, and this is the standard and pure pressure, that is pure vapor pressure, okay, of solvent, and this is the pure vapor pressure of component 2. Are getting this point or not? So not being pure, and this is basically solution. Okay. Now, so according to him, what happens? Here both liquids are volatile, so that's why they both form the vapors. Okay. But just like we have to follow the Dalton's law. According to Dalton's, what happens here? Just like we have mixing the water and plus alcohol. Are you getting this point or not? So here the vapor of, that means vapor pressure of water is also seen, and vapor pressure of alcohol is also seen, and the total vapor pressure according to Dalton's atomic theory, Dalton's law of partial pressure, what happens here? Basically the total vapor pressure is equal to the sum of partial vapor pressure of each component. So here also we can write like this, with the P total equal to P1 plus P2. Are you getting this point or not? Now put the value of P1, P2. Okay, so now we can get P total equal to P naught 1 x1 plus P naught 2 x2. One more thing I told you, that what about the mole fractions? So what about the mole fractions here? If we want to write this formula in terms of solute, in that condition we have to put now x1 equal to 1 minus x2. Now putting this value, now the formula become like this, P naught 1, this is 1 minus x2 plus P naught 2 and x2. Okay, if you open this formula, finally, so we got one answer, that is P total equal to P naught 1 plus P naught 2 minus P naught 1 and x2. Are getting this point or not? So we get one formula like this. So now one more question arises कि how can you draw the graph of P total versus x? So here our formula is P total equal to P naught 1 plus P naught 2 minus P naught 1 and x2. Are getting this point or not? So now this so that the P total is directly linked with the mole fraction of solute. Now we can draw the graph. So first of all you have to draw the graph of individual patient. That means for P1 and for P2. Okay. So first of all look at it. We can write here P2 and this is x2. So the graph this goes like this, and this is known as P naught 2. Now one more thing you know that here the value of x2 is 0, but here finally you can get the value of x2 equal to 1. Similarly for x1 here 1 and here x1 equal to 0, and we can draw the graph between P total and x2. So now this can also draw like this. Okay, are you getting this point or not? If we make this graph, you can make this graph like this, and this is the graph of P total. So this is P total graph. Are you getting this point or not? Look at here also, y equal to c plus mx. So this graph matches the straight line equation. Okay, here y equal to pt and x equal to x2, and now m equal to slope. Here slope is what? P naught 2 and minus P naught 1. So by this way we can draw the graph. Okay, if you want to draw the graph individually about the P total, in that condition you can write the graph like this. So now you can draw the graph like this, P total and x2. So the graph is look like this. Okay, here slope is equal to P naught 2 minus P naught 1. Okay, and this is intercept. Intercept is what? Here P naught 1. So by this way you can draw the graph of rows. Okay. Now one more thing. This is the basically the graph of ideal solution. So first of all, so no solution is ideal. Okay. But some liquid mixtures, they have similar condition of force and similar structure. So they can behave as ideal. Okay. So that's why this graph is basically denote the ideal solution in case of rows. One more thing you have to know that if one component is non-volatile, in that condition what happens? Look the condition. If one component is non-volatile, so basically solvents are volatile and solute are may be volatile or non-volatile. So we have taken one examples of water plus sugar. Now in this condition, what happens about the P total? So this to form vapor, so that's why we can write P1 equal to P naught 1 x1. Here again noted down that 1 means solvent, 2 means solute. But now what about the P2? So P2 has no vapor. So now the P total equal to how much? P1 plus P2. But P2 is 0. So that's why we get P1. And that means the P total is equal to P naught 1 minus P1, P naught 1 and x1. So for this we can draw the graph like this. So this is equal to y equal to mx. Here no interceptor there. So that's why you can write the graph like this between the P total and what? Here x1. Okay. This is the slope. Slope equal to tan theta. And this is equal to what? P naught 1. Are you getting this point or not? In case of when the solutes are what? Non-volatile, so the Raoult's law look like this. Okay? Now let us focus one question regarding the Raoult's law so that this concept should be clear. Are you getting this point or not? Now, the formula of P1 equal to P naught 1 x1 and P2 equal to P naught 2 x2. So as you know that, what about the x2? So x2 equal to number of mole divided by number of mole of solvent divided by number of plus number of mole of solute. Okay? You can put this value also here. So if the number of mole is given here, okay? So here the mole fractions and x2 denote mole fraction in liquid. But in case of gas, the mole fraction written in y1 and y2. So for y1, that means you can write the formula like this: y1 equal to p1 divided by p total. Similarly, y2 equal to p2 divided by p total. And just like x1 plus x2 equal to 1, it is also y1 plus y2 equal to 1. That means the mole fraction in vapor state is also equal to, that means unity. So this formula you can only use in case of gas, that means in case of gas, that means in vapor phase. In case of vapor phase you can use y1, in case of liquid phase you can use x1, x2. Are you getting this point or not? So now let us focus one question. So now let us focus one question. Okay? The vapor pressure of chloroform and dichloromethane at 298 Kelvin are 200 mmHg and 415 mmHg respectively. That means this is given the pure vapor pressure. That is P01 may be said and P02 are given. Okay? Now, what the question asking that? To calculate the vapor pressure of solution prepared by mixing 25.5 gram of chloroform and 40 gram of dichloromethane at 298 Kelvin. Second thing is asking what? Here the vapor solution का मतलब क्या हुआ? Total vapor pressure. Okay? That is here we have to find the total vapor pressure. In second case we have to find the mole fraction of each component in vapor phase. That means we have to find the y1 and y2. So first of all we have to require the number of mole. And for the number of mole, okay, we have to know the mass and molar mass. Here mass is given, we can calculate the molar mass from formula mass. By this way we can get the number of mole. If we get the number of mole, we can find the mole fraction. So let us focus on the answer. So first of all, we have to write the molar mass of, that means molar mass of chloroform and molar mass. Let us first of all we have to find the molar mass of dichloromethane. This is equal to 85 gram per mole. This you can find now by knowing the atomic mass of atoms. You can add and you find the molar mass. And molar mass of chloroform is basically 119.5 gram per mole. Now let us focus. First of all we have to find the number of mole and then we can find the mole fraction. So number of mole of dichloromethane equal to mass of dichloromethane and divided by 85 gram per mole. Now this will give 0.47 mole. Here gram cancel. Units are required. Okay, you have to write the unit. Then number of mole of chloroform equal to how much? Here mass is given 25.5 gram and divided by 119.5 gram per mole. So this will give you answer 0.213 mole. So this will give 0.213 mole. Are you getting this point or not? So by this way we can calculate the mole. Now let us focus on the mole fraction. So first of all we write the mole fraction of dichloromethane. So look at it. Here we can write the formula like this. So mole fraction of dichloromethane divided by total number of mole. Here total mole is N dichloromethane plus N chloroform. Are getting this point or not? So put this value, what 0.47 divided by 0.47 plus 0.213. So by this way we can find the mole fraction of dichloromethane is equal to 0.688. So this is 0.688. Now next we have to find the mole fraction of chloroform. So this either you can find by this, what you can minus 1 minus this mole fraction and find the mole fraction of chloroform. Either you can write this formula. So try to write this formula in examinations, okay, and then write the value by subtracting this mole fraction of what? Dichloromethane to 1, okay. So this gives the value nearly up to 0.312, okay. So this you can get the value from 0.312. So this, by this way we can find the mole fraction. Now let us focus on what? Just we have to find the P total in the first question. According to this vapor pressure of solution, that means P total. So we can write the P total like this. And now P total equal to P01 x1 plus P02 x2. Okay. The P01, if we taken the P01 chloroform, okay. In that condition, what happens here? And x1 we have taken the chloroform now. So now this time, what happens? This is 200 multiplied by 0.312 plus this is 415 multiplied by what? 0.688. So this will provide you P total. Are getting this point or not? So by this way we can find the P total is basically 347.9 mmHg. So this is the answer of first question. Okay. Now second is asking mole fraction of each component in vapor phase. So again we have to write the vapor phase like this. So here you can write Y1, Y2, but here chloroform and dichloromethane is given. You can write like this: Y chloroform equal to P chloroform divided by P total. What is the P chloroform? So P chloroform is basically P01 and x1. So we can write like this: 200 multiplied by 0.312 and divided by what? P total is 347.9. So by this way you can get the Y1 value. Are getting this point or not? The value of Y1 is here given you 0.18. So this is 0.18. Are getting this point or not? So by this way you can calculate the Y chloroform. Next you can calculate the Y for this. So this is again P dichloromethane divided by P total. Here this is what? You can calculate like this: 415 multiplied by what? 0.688 and divided by again 347.9. So here you can also write the answer like this: 1 minus this, you can get the answer of second components. Are getting this point or not? Okay. So now this will give the answer nearly about what? 0.82. So by this way we can solve this type of questions which are related to the round flow. One more thing you have to know. Here this has vapor pressure in vapor phase, that is 0.82 and this is 0.18. So this is more volatile, this is less volatile. So by this way you can also know that which component is more volatile. In this case what happens? Dichloromethane is more volatile than chloroform. Thank you dear students.